brothers here?
Can you give an inheritance to a non-Muslim family member?
Muslims are to inherit from Muslims. There should be no inheritance between non-Muslims. As far as are there any exceptions to the rule, is there a time in which you can put a non-Muslim or a non-Muslim can put you in the will? That's a secondary conversation. But the initial answer is inheritance, the strict rules of inheritance are to be between the Muslims. Wallahu alam.
Can a wife ever, after a husband is dead, can a wife wash his body?
Yes, inshallah. If she has the ability to do it.
And vice versa?
Yes, inshallah. Father Abu Sam.
Is it authentic that if you come to the masjid in the evening, seek knowledge, you get the reward of Hajj?
Is it authentic that if you come to the masjid in the evening to seek knowledge, you get the reward of making Hajj? I wouldn't necessarily say that that specific reward with that wording is sound. The countless rewards of seeking ilm in the masjid, seeking knowledge are well known. But the specific text stating that, I wouldn't say that that's sound, no. Wallahu alam. What is the greatest freshwater land mass in North America? Freshwater, body of freshwater. Ontario?
That's in Canada, right?
America?
Is it in America or the world? Erie is a guess. America or the world? Well, let's say we can agree on North America. You can't go wrong with that guess. Lake Superior. Jazakallah khairan. Superior is how big is it? How many miles or kilometers?
Very a lot.
Kathir. We can agree on what? Kathir, huh? Anybody know? All right, so you mentioned Ontario, you mentioned Erie. What are the Great Lakes?
Ontario.
Let's start off in order. Holmes. Homes. Huron. Ontario. M. Michigan. Erie, and Superior. All right. What do we know about Lake Superior? What's the history of it? Some say it's like an American Bermuda Triangle. Many people have mysteriously what?
City.
Any questions? From Milan?
No. MA from Hyderabad, India. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Overall, if the beard is fist length, but I cut hair a little bit to give shape, is this permissible?
Let the beard grow. Let it drape. Let it hang. Let it flow naturally, inshallah.
WA from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Do you have any advice for a Muslim who is really interested in politics of the Islamic world?
Advice for a Muslim who's interested in politics of the Islamic world?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're talking about ancient politics, the history of the different caliphites and dynasties and sultanates, then that's one thing. That's well documented among Muslim and non-Muslim sources. And as far as if you're interested in politics today, with regards to the Muslims today, if I had any advice for you, is to learn how to sift and separate Islam versus Muslim, Muslim versus human being, and learn how to differentiate and separate, splice and split up between that which is done in the name of Islam and that which is actually a part of Islam. And also, I would say my last piece of advice is to never, and this is one of the lessons I had to learn through the years, is never ever underestimate the power of politics and the influence of politics on different discussions and debates and rulings that are given by people and so on and so forth. Never underestimate them. And of course, just because one doesn't have an interest in politics doesn't mean in politics what?
It's not
Won't have an interest on you or in you. Wallahu alam.
AK from St. Louis, Missouri. Salam alaikum, Mufti. One of the requirements for a role I'm applying to is that you become a notary, which involves taking an oath with a county clerk, as well as taking out a bond or type of insurance. Would it be haram taking the mandatory oath with them, raising the right hand, etc., and taking the bond when I could technically just not apply? By the way, this is to notarize state documents.
If a Muslim wants to become a notary or notary public, etc., can he take the oath, the bond? This is very similar to many other professions in which you may have to do something which is clearly haram or disliked or doubtful to become a certified professional. If and when you becoming a certified professional is going to be beneficial for you and for the Muslims, for your deen and for your dunya, and it's something that the Muslims need, do it, inshallah. With regards to the lesser of the two harms, with regards to, I'm not saying this is absolute, the ends justifies the means. Yeah, I mean, there are many examples of this. Do we need Muslim people who are specialized or specialize in economics and finance? Of course we do. Money is needed for everything. As we speak, this class, without money, it wouldn't be possible. If I had to go out and work and do this and do that, I couldn't be here. How is the class being streamed? It's on somebody's Wi-Fi or data. That has to be what? Paid. The devices are paid for. The microphones, how much? And it's not even, I'm sure there's top state of the art, but that microphone costs what? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You'd be shocked. Some people know, some people don't know how much one Bluetooth microphone set costs. People complain all the sound, blah, blah, blah. You pay, send the roads, send them in, right? Go ahead. I'll give you the address to the machine and you can donate a what? Oh, the camera, this and that. Tafaddal. 8K, 12K starting, inshallah. Bismillah. Stuff costs a lot of money. So we need money. So if we want to have a school, a center, a university, a clinic, we need professional what? Professional people. People that are professionals with money. How do you become certified unless you have to deal with and learn some things which are clearly unlawful? Of course, the example of the barber, we've mentioned it how many times? You have to do certain haram things to become certified barber. And many other things. To become a doctor or nurse, you have to touch this or look at this to become what? Certified. And once you're certified, it's a benefit for, no question about that. So that's what I would say. Wallahu alam.
HG, Fontana, California. Can I make tayammum if I wake up junob and I don't have time to shower before work?
Person wakes up junub, can they make tayammum if there isn't enough time to make a ghusl? The safest thing to do is to make the ghusl, even if you're going to miss the salah. As long as you have access to the water, it's not too cold, it's not too expensive, you're not wounded, etc. You can use the water, you use the water. That's what the Quran tells us. If you find not water, then seek the pure earth. So that's what's mandatory. Some scholars say is that because there's a conflict of interest between conditions of prayer. One condition of prayer is a tahara, purification, and another condition of the prayer is praying on time. So for argument's sake, a person taking the lesser tahara just to pray on time. And then there's those scholars, they differ afterwards. Do you have to make the salat up again? Do you have to make a ghusl to make the salat up again, etc. So the safest thing to do is to make the ghusl. Wallahu alam.
MA, Bronx, New York. What's the ruling of not fulfilling your promise?
Say the initials again.
MA,
From?
Bronx, New York.
What's the ruling on?
Not fulfilling your promise.
It's impermissible if there's no excuse or reason, and that's a trait of the munafiqun. May Allah help us all.
T.O. Springfield, Virginia. Advice to someone who got into a haram relationship and is now conflicted. It started off as regretting the sin, to being indecisive, to not caring about the sin. The desires are very high, and now I just feel lost and stupid.
Someone who got involved in a haram relationship, now they're trapped, they're caught up. I want to get out, my desires, I feel lost, I feel stupid, so on and so forth. Tayyib, make dua to Allah to give you the strength and the courage to do what you need to do. Depending on the nature of that relationship, if you can get married to the sister or the brother, get married. For argument's sake, she's a woman, you're a Muslim, give her dawah. Look, I want to be with you, regardless of how, take a shahada, be a Muslim. Or if he's a man and he's not a Muslim, give him, be with me, let's get married, but you gotta be a Muslim. If you love me, then do what you gotta do. Or if they're both Muslim, look at the worldly reason why we can't get married or why we had to do it the haram way. Whatever that worldly reason may be, none of those reasons will compare to Allah's wrath. And you're losing your faith, you're losing your iman. So make dua for Allah to give you the necessary courage and strength. That's first and foremost. Secondly, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, if you can't rectify the situation, if you can't get married, if marriage is an option, then you have to leave. You don't have a choice or an option. You have to go. Regardless of how much you invested, cut your lot, you have to go. You have to go. And Allah will give you bigger and better. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And if you're too weak to leave, you don't have the courage, that's fine. Just know for sure that you have to keep making tawbah. You have to make the determined resolve not to do it again. You can't live like this. It has to stop. And that is a sin, and don't justify that sin. Wallahu alam.
MU, Los Angeles, California. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. If a person praying behind an imam forgets a wajib during the salah, does he have to do sujood the sahu after the imam's taslim?
Once you pray behind someone, once the imam salams out, you salam out with the imam. You aren't responsible for anything that the imam did or didn't do. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
MS, Dallas, Texas. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. After the recent news with the U.S. government and their plan to overtake the Palestinian land, what should we do as Muslims? What is our role in the belly of the beast?
What is our role in the belly of the beast in light of what the U.S. government or the president has stated of, the Riviera of the Middle East? Inshallah, let's see our last question tonight. Much can be said. We don't want to go on a rant or a tirade or a tantrum, but it's a whole lecture in itself. I think the first thing that Muslims have to do living in the belly of the beast is wake up. I think we need to wake up from our slumber and our stupor. Wake the heck up. What is wrong with you thinking that Democrat and Republican are different? What is wrong with you thinking that these are the extreme right wing? What is wrong with you thinking that this president is going to keep his or her word and his promises? Don't you understand that it's a game? That it's a sick joke? Don't you understand it's a big fat lie and myth? Don't you get it by now? How many times do their masks have to fall off? Let alone right now with the president, he just took the mask directly off. Directly. We'll move them to another country. Will the Palestinians live there? He says maybe some, he clearly just dodged the. What do you need? He's telling you clear as day. Don't you see the press conference? Is the American flag and the Israeli flag. What? Just like that. The president is stuttering and this and that, and he's on the side smirking, laughing. These stupid morons, imbeciles. I've been brain raping him for 40 years. Go into the archives and look at Netanyahu before he was the prime minister. You'd be shocked. Look at all the wars that he started, all the wars he got the U.S. involved in. Just look how he manipulated and played with like a string, a puppet on a string. And of course, we know there are people pulling his puppet string. And there are people pulling those puppet strings. The shaitan, the ultimate puppet master. But until when are you going to be asleep and you're going to wake up? You are not equal. The Palestinians are not equal. Their blood, their loss of life, their property, their prisoners are absolutely inferior to those of the Israelis. And you're still trying to get them to accept and to acknowledge. They've told you 1,000 times. We don't care. How many died? How much destruction is wrought on that tiny enclave? We don't care. The only victims and those who suffered are the victims of the hostages and their families in October 7th and the Holocaust. That's it. You have no rights. You're unequal. God created us in a different way than he created you. And you're still at their doorstep begging and crying, please treat me equally. Please look at me equally. You demanding, fighting, that's a different story. But you're begging for equal treatment, and he has clearly declared to you, you are unequal to me, to us. You are inferior. End of discussion. So, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. How foolish are we? How foolish have we become? You know? Another way of looking at it is we need to practice some of the things and continue to avoid some of the mistakes that led to the tragedy and the catastrophe of Palestine being lost and partitioned and broken. Just look how stupid it is. Pure stupid. Why in the world is the West Bank and Gaza separated? Who made that decision? And why would they make such a, like, how dumb is that? Makes no sense. None of it makes sense. All right, so, and what led to it being lost? The problems and the fighting among the Muslims, the racism. It's another problem. Another thing I was saying, Allah knows best, and this is advice for everybody, is that the issue can't just be an Arab issue. It just can't just be a Middle Eastern issue. It can't be a Palestinian issue, but it has to be an Islamic issue. It has to be an Islamic issue. That's first and foremost. Are there elements of race and culture and region? Yes, but it's greater than that. And that's why you see their wisdom. It's much more than just a Polish, Russian. No, it's Jewish. Zionism equals Judaism, period. Any criticism of Zionists is criticizing Jews and anti-Semitism. They're smart. They know. It's not just a Zionist problem, but it's Jewish problem. So all of the suffering, all of the people, and we want to marginalize, it's just Arab problem, Palestinian problem. Not a Saudi, not a UAE, it's a problem. Also, if you want to be fair, look at it from another aspect. How many Palestinian Americans we're talking about right now in this country have aligned themselves with other civil rights movements? When's the last time you've seen any activist saying, I'm going to join partners with you because we're fighting for this? How many? When's the last time you've seen one? Do you see any? This is a real life question. Wouldn't it be smarter to join and to ally yourself with people that are also fighting and struggling? We don't see that. And there are reasons what? There are reasons why. So if you just look at some Irish people online, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, you'll clearly see them standing up and fighting and supporting and saying, we support what? The Palestinians and their resistance, because we know very well what it feels like to be oppressed and trampled and stomped upon by a power that's justifying this dhulm. So we gotta wake up. That's my advice. We gotta wake up. And perhaps when we wake up and enough of us are awoke and clearly seeing things, then maybe we can make another step and another step. And eventually perhaps we'll get out of this nightmare. But at the moment we just keep, running around like ostriches, sticking our heads in the sand, the monster, the boogeyman is gonna go away. Or I can fight the boogeyman by myself and so on. It's baffling, but it's not. Because the Prophet told us towards the end of time what would happen. The Prophet told us how the liar will be believed and the truthful man will be belied. The Prophet told us how the treacherous person will be given an amana, and how the ameen will become a treacherous person. The Prophet told us all of these things, how people will sell their religion, how people will lie on the law, how they'll purchase things in the name of God's name. The Quran and Sunnah teaches us all of these things. The Quran and Sunnah tell us about cowards and cowardice, being scared and afraid. The Quran and Sunnah teaches us about these things. But just looking at it from an American political standpoint, how is the president of the United States saying, leave the enclave because it's a total mess? It's a demolition site. Well, how did it become a demolition site? It just mysteriously, you allowed it to happen. You allowed it. You took the ban off of the 2,000 pound bomb. 2,000 pounds for one bomb. Was all that destruction necessary? And who's still in existence on the stage, handing out certificates and goodie bags? Hamas. All of that destruction, all of that death, all of those people blown up, maimed, and they're still what? Somebody's lying, someone isn't telling the truth, someone is playing a game, and someone is insulting your intelligence. Someone has very little respect for your intelligence. So that's my advice for the Muslims in this country, to wake up, open up your eyes. It's no longer reading between the lines. It's clear language they're telling you. So that's my advice. May Allah help us all. And of course, we always make dua for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And we never, ever cower or shy from praying for them and speaking up for them and believing the truth. It's not from our way. Who likes it, likes it. And whoever doesn't like it, then he can kick rocks. Watch another channel on YouTube. Wallahu alam.